friends, Valeria here from Chasing Paper, and today I'm going to share another quick and easy project with you. We are going to make faux leather out of freezer paper and tissue paper. So there you are, simple items. You probably already have them on hand. So there are different ways of making faux leather out of paper, and I'm going to link my other video below that shows how to make faux leather out of a paper bag. And the reason I like this project is because it's so simple and easy, no muss, no fuss, and also it provides a different texture. So this is quick and easy, and you can make all sorts of fun projects out of this leather when you're done. So here is a quick and simple tag I made. And here's a junk journal cover made out of a sewing pattern paper. There we are. A really nice texture. Really fun look, something different and fresh. So are you guys ready to see how easy it is to make this leather? Let's roll. Alright, so we're going to begin by getting some freezer paper. I'm using a freezer paper roll, not sheets, because if you're using a roll, it will allow you to get exact size of the sheet that you need, other than having to work with pre-cut sheets. And some tissue paper. And I prefer to work with tissue paper that's tan or brown color because it looks more like real leather. Or you can certainly experiment with some other fun colors. So here I have a set, and it has gold and silver and black and white and tan. So go ahead and look in your local store for something like that, or maybe you already have it on hand. And so what we're going to do is tear a sheet of freezer paper. Now find the shiny side of the paper. If you flip this paper over, you'll see that one side is just looks like regular paper, but the other side is shiny. Okay, so put your sheet of freezer paper shiny side up. Now let's get a piece of tissue. All right, here's my tissue, and you really want to cut it or tear it down to size that you're going to work with. So I'm just going to tear it in half. Let's go ahead and crumble it up. So you want to crumple it up really good, and maybe do it a couple of times. But just be careful because tissue paper is very thin, obviously, so you do not want to tear it. There we are. And we are opening it back up. Now, if you look closely at your tissue paper, you'll notice that one side of it also is shiny and the other one is kind of dull. So this is the shiniest side on my paper. So I want to make sure to place this paper shiny side up on top of my freezer paper, which is also placed down with the shiny side up. And the reason we are working with the shiny side with the freezer paper is because freezer paper is actually coated with a very thin layer of plastic. So let's go ahead and put this down. All right, it kind of still wants to roll, but that's okay. Now, next thing you want to do is you want to prepare your iron. So if your iron has a steam function, be sure to turn it off. As you can see, mine is turned off. And make sure to set your iron on the hottest setting that it has. So in my case, it's linen and cotton. And once your iron gets nice and hot, go ahead and bring it down. And just run it over gently over your tissue paper. Make sure not to touch the freezer paper with your iron, because you might get the plastic coating on your iron. So be mindful of that, be very careful. You might want to use an older iron if you have one, because you do not want to transfer that onto your clothes later on. And the reason we have to have the steam function off is because if you have the steam here, it will take out all the wrinkles out of the paper. We don't want that to happen. So I'm just going slowly and carefully. I'm gonna go several times, and be sure to work on the hard surface. I'm just protecting my countertop here with a little pillowcase. You might want to work on the counter. Just be sure not to ruin your table or the counter, and cover it up with something that's heat resistant. Okay, so I'm running over a couple of times, and now I'm going to flip it over and run over on this side. And this is going to help make sure that everything sticks nicely. I'm trying not to miss any spots. Flip it over again. All right, now let it cool off. The bond is going to get stronger as it cools. Let's move it aside. Let's try it with a different color tissue now. I'm going to get another piece of freezer paper, and I'm going to get some gold tissue. Crumpling it up a couple of times to get that nice wrinkled texture. And I'm making sure that my shiny side is up. You can see it better with this gold tissue. Here's my dull side, and here's my shiny side. And I'm making sure that my freezer paper is also placed with my shiny side up. Put in my tissue on top of my freezer paper. And hot iron. Work carefully. You don't want to get any air bubbles. If that happens, make sure to work your way from the center towards the edge to kind of get rid of the bubbles. Right, and now I'm going to flip this paper over and go over the back side. And that's all. Let's flip it over and see what we have. So we have a beautiful texture, and I really love this in gold color. So let's put it aside to cool. All right, and while we're waiting on those to cool, let's try just one more. I wanted to show you an alternative to using a tissue paper. You can use your sewing pattern paper. Right there, so you want to find a piece that's large enough. And this tissue usually has all these fun patterns on it. So this is going to look beautiful. All right, let's tear it to size. We don't have to be precise here. I just want to have it, cut down and turn down roughly to the size of my freezer paper sheet. And again, let's go ahead and crumple it up. Now remember, again, this tissue paper is very delicate, so you do want to be careful. And here's another sheet of freezer paper. Placing it on top. And let's take our hot iron and run it over this tissue. Work your way from the center towards the edges. And let's flip it over and iron the other side. And we're done. And here's what we have. All right, great. So now that I waited a couple of minutes and I let our papers cool completely, you can see that it's stuck. The bond is nice. When you can still try to peel it off, but as you can see, it's not easy to do. I mean, the little pieces of paper, of tissue paper may just get torn off, but you could see that it's bonded to the freezer paper really well. And what I found from just experimenting with different tissues is that I found that some brands and some tissue gets stuck to the freezer paper better than other. But it works consistently. Like, you might be able to tear a little piece off on the edge, but mostly it bonds pretty well. If you notice that something is peeling off easily, that means you did not spend enough time with the hot iron running over that area. So at this point, if you can find any bubbles or any spots that kind of didn't stick together, you can bring your hot iron back in and iron over that area again, and then again let it cool. But these papers seem to be in a good shape. So we are going to move on to the last step of this basically two-step project, and that is I'm going to put a coat of matte Mod Podge on top of my tissue. Mod Podge going to add some extra strength and add a nice finish to our leather. So I already went ahead and I poured some Mod Podge into this dish, and I'm going to work with a large brush. I like to thin out my Mod Podge just a little bit, so for this much Mod Podge I probably added about 1 tablespoon of water. And so now I'm going to just kind of put a thin layer of Mod Podge over the top. And that's it. Let's move it to dry. All right, and so now it's been about 20 minutes. I put these sheets outside and it's kind of sunny out and hot, and it's all it took because it was just one thin layer of Mod Podge. So here's what we have. It's a beautiful wrinkled texture. And here's our sewing pattern paper. Okay. And here's the gold tissue. There we are. And so the bond is nice and strong. So let's go ahead and just kind of cut the edges of the paper to make it into rectangular sheets that are going to be easy to work with. And so there we are, friends. So beautiful paper is ready to use in whatever projects you like to use it in. Now, if you wanted to add some color and dimension to it, of course, you can use your Distress Oxide ink. And that's what it looks like. Now, I did not want to ink this paper. I just want to keep this project nice and simple and to show a beautiful texture. But if you are going to ink, I suggest you do it before you put a coat of Mod Podge. And there you are. See how it brings out all the little wrinkles? But also, it is certainly not too late to put that ink over the coat of your Mod Podge. All I would recommend is if you do it that way, if you are adding your ink after you Mod Podged it, just make sure and add another layer of Mod Podge on top just to seal the ink. Here is the color now. What do you think? The texture really shows. I think it turned out beautiful. And there are so many different things you can do with this. For example, I made this junk journal cover out of one of these sheets, and I also used that to make cute little tags. So there you go, friends, a quick and easy project for you to try. Please give this video a like and make sure to subscribe to my channel. I really hope you give this a go and let me know in the comments how it worked out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.